Okay. The title of the talk is What Happened to Our Children? I think most of us in here have children, okay? Some of us have grandchildren, and the only reason I can tell that is by the color of the hair. And we have parents who have raised children know it can be a very painful trek, raising children, but very rewarding too at the same time. Anyway, in Judges 2, verse 8, and also 10 through 11, Joshua, the son of Nun, Judges describes this to us, Joshua, the son of Nun, died being 110 years old. And also that generation were gathered unto his fathers, and there arose another generation after them, which knew not Yahweh, nor yet the works which he had done for Israel. Verse 11, and the children of Israel did evil in the sight of Yah, and served Baalim, and they forsook Yah, Elohim of their fathers. Now we have heard that was the parents' fault that they did not teach them. My response to that would be, really? The miracles before and during the Exodus would have been monumental in the lives of the generation that lived through it. They didn't talk about it, the parents, that generation. They didn't teach history to their children. Those of us who remember our parents that went through World War II, Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Great Depression, the Vietnam War, surely all those stories we would remember from the previous generations and the lessons learned. Are we to believe that the writer of many Psalms, David, described as a man after Elohim's own heart, 1 Samuel 13:14, didn't talk about Yah and teach his children? Yet David's firstborn, Amnon, his behavior to his sister was abominable. Many of the Proverbs were written by Solomon. Proverbs 1, verses 8 begins with, quote, my son, hear the instructions of your father. Chapter 2, verse 1, my son. Chapter 3, my son. 4, my son. Hear, my children. 5, 6, and 7. It's all my son. Listen to what I am saying. And yet, when his son Rehoboam became king, for one of his first important decisions, he asked advice of the elders and then of the young men that had grown up with him, and very unwisely follows the advice of the younger group. 1 Kings verse 12. 1 Kings chapter verse 12. And we all know what happened there. That was the beginning of the division of Israel. And Cain, the firstborn of women, was instructed by Yahweh himself. Genesis 4, verse 6. And Yah said unto Cain, and the reason he said this to Cain, because they both offered sacrifices, Cain and his brother Abel. One was accepted, and the other one was rejected. So our Creator said to him, why is your countenance fallen? If you do well, shall thou not be accepted? And if thou dost not well, what's lying at the door? Sin. It's actually, that word lying at the door means it's crouched at the door. And its desire is for you, but you should rule over it. The next sentence tells us that Cain, after that, went and killed his brother. Adam and Eve, the first people, were instructed by Yahweh himself, the best father one could have. And we know what they did. Joshua's brothers didn't believe him either. John chapter 7, verses 3 through 5. Interesting, this thing takes place during the Feast of Tabernacles. His brethren said to him, depart hence and go to Judea, that disciples also may see the work that you do. For no man doeth anything in secret, and he himself seeketh to be known openly. If thou do these things, show thyself to the world. For neither did his brethren believe him, at least not yet. So, what happened? And how did we get here? Eve was beguiled. Today, our children attend schools approximately 35 hours a week, where many are indoctrinated into LGBTQ, RST, the agenda. Schools practice and reward a lack of respect for parental and civil authority. Children are taught a postmodernistic worldview that is socialist, selfish, immoral, and evil, where there is no absolute truth, but truth is whatever you believe it to be. Amazon sells a Ouija board, a board-style game. Its producers claim it is perfect for churches, prayer groups, or just getting together with friends. That's what they're selling it under. The source for that statement is Southwest Radio Church Ministries. Everywhere we look, brethren, there is evidence of our hypersexualized. Everything has some sort of sexual overtone to it. Perverted society, from drag queen story hours in the library through the political scene to video games and movies glorifying violence, perversion, without conscience or consequence. Now, I want to go to or quote a prophecy. Actually, it's a prophecy dealing with punishment. It's in Isaiah chapter 3, verse 4. And we're reading excerpts from it. And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. And a child shall behave himself proudly against the ancients. I see that today. And I'm sure this isn't the only generation. But with the ability to communicate, especially on social medias, you see it almost instantly and everywhere. So, does Yahweh care? In Hosea 4, verse 6, Hosea states, "My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge." And you have to ask yourself a question in this, and we'll get to that when I'm done with this. Because you have rejected knowledge, I will also reject you, that you shall be no priest to me, seeing you have forgotten the law of your Elohim. I will forget your children. That's frightening. But what knowledge is he talking about? We are awash with knowledge. We got knowledge at our fingertips. What knowledge is this prophet talking about? We are to be schooled and understand knowledge of the truth. What is the truth? Messiah says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And what is the Messiah? The Messiah is the epitome or the finial of the law. Matthew 18, verse 6. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones, the children, which believe in me, the better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and were drowned in the depths of the sea. Verse 10, take heed that you despise not one of these little ones, for I say unto you that in heaven their angels, T-H-E-I-R, angels, excuse me, do always behold the face of my Father which is in heaven. Deuteronomy 5, verse 29, oh, that there were such a heart in them, that they would fear me and keep my commandments always, and that it might be well with them and with their children forever. That word fear, brethren, is not something you're shaking in your boots. It is a respect. I dare say most electricians, I work with quite a bit of electricity and electronics. Most all of us have a deep respect for what can happen if you get sloppy or disregard the rules of physics. I knew a gentleman who was working in a circuit breaker panel. It was a three-phase panel. I think it was fed with either 480 or 240. Anyway, he got sloppy. He was in there with a screwdriver. And he managed to short all three phases together, which I guess it was a screwdriver and it had a plastic handle on it. I guess there was a couple of thousand amps going through that screwdriver. The screwdriver shaft turned red. It melted the plastic on the handle and it exploded into his face. It burned his face. All within, I say, about maybe 15 milliseconds. So fast that you cannot respond to that. But he didn't follow the laws of physics. He didn't follow, he just got sloppy. And we are to be very, very careful. We should follow the laws of our Creator. But unlike electricity, unlike our Creator, electricity is not forgiving. Our Creator is. And if he wasn't, I would not be here talking with you. What about now, brethren? And what are some of the answers to this? Micah 3, verses 6 through 8, "For I am Yahweh, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed." What's that mean? He made the promises. Okay? He gave his son. Okay? I said Micah, it's Malachi. So the reason why Jacob is not consumed is because our Creator does not change. His word is true. "Even from the days of your fathers ye have gone away from mine ordinances and have not kept them. Return to me." Return to me. This sounds like repentance. "And I will return to you, saith Yahweh of hosts." It's very simple. You forget me, I forget you, and I'll forget your children. You turn to me, and I will return to you. What should we do about our children and grandchildren? Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 40. Moses told the people, "Keep his statutes and his commandments, which I command you this day, that it may go well with you and with thy children after you." You remember what our Creator said through Moses? "I set before you blessings and cursings." What did Moses say? It was a no-brainer. Take the blessings, because the cursings are bad. Deuteronomy 6, verse 7, "And thou shalt teach them diligently." We are required to teach our children diligently, whether they keep them after they grow up or not. We're still required to do it. Deuteronomy 6, verse 7, "Thou shalt teach them diligently unto your children, and shalt talk of them when you sit down, when you get up, when you walk by the way, and when thou lies down, and when you rise up." Discipline is important, not slapping them around. That's not what discipline's talking about. But teach them. Teach them. And the best teacher is what? Example. Example. How a husband treats a wife. Children are like sponges. If the wife and the husband are arguing, they call each other names, bad language, they practice infidelity. Don't be surprised if the children are likewise. But if the husband loves the wife, like Paul talks about, so you shall love your wife as Messiah loved the ecclesia, in that he gave his life for her. And the wife should be subject to the husband. Okay? It's not that the wife is less. They are the roles that we are in. The woman is just as valuable in the sight of our Creator as the man. Discipline is important. Teaching them. And also, brethren, it is important to be delighted, to be happy, and to be thanking our Creator for everything. Psalm 37, verse 4, "Delight thyself also in Yah, and he shall give you the desires of your heart." You ever think about that? The desires of your heart. but your children make it into the kingdom. Job, here is a parent that loved his family dearly. And he was a man like David, after our Creator's own heart. Our Creator respected Job. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright and, one that feared Elohim and eschewed evil. He rejected evil. He respected our Creator's words and his laws. Verse 4 through 5. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one on his day, and sent and called for their sisters to eat and drink with them. Now, that doesn't seem like there's anything wrong there, and it doesn't say they did anything wrong. And it was so that when the days of the feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them. All of them. For Job said in his mind and his heart, it may be, it's just possible, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed Elohim in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. It doesn't say they did, but he loved his children very much. And even in dire consequences, Lamentations 2 verse 19, lift up thy hands toward him for the life of thy young children that faint for hunger at the top of the streets. Pray for our children. Set the example. Teach them. But brethren, it's no guarantee. It's no guarantee they're going to keep it or follow it. But Scripture does say, teach a child when it's young. Okay? And that when he gets older, he will not leave them. Or at least he has a background for it. And remember his promises. Romans chapter 9, verse 15. For he saith to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. Brethren, we are and have been blessed with understanding and truth and knowledge. Not the knowledge this world offers. This world does not offer wisdom, knowledge, life-saving. Only our Creator does, and the Scriptures. We have children, teach them. But if they don't adhere or they walk away, it will be for a while, and it'll be painful. I can attest to that. I have 4 daughters, 14 months apart. And my feel is raising daughters is more difficult than raising boys. Although I've never had boys, and I can't imagine it being more difficult raising boys than raising girls. And but still they're a blessing. Still they're a blessing. I have grandchildren. Between my wife and I, we have 10 grandchildren. And my wife is currently, and I do too, but my wife more than I, is working with our youngest granddaughter. Her name is Lily. And I can see in her the pulls of this world. They're there. They're there. And you have to counter them. You have to counter them. And we are required to. We are required to. But even if she grows up and rejects all of it, okay, that should not have an influence on how you feel about our Creator. I will have mercy on whom I will. He can get their attention. He knows how to get your attention and to make it uncomfortable enough that you sit up and take notice. He knows how to do that. We don't. We should teach them. And if we don't pray for our children and our grandchildren and go that stretch, who's going to do it? Who else is going to do it? No one loves your children like the parents do, and your grandchildren. It's so very important. They are our heritage. In fact, In fact, there was a part in here. All right, at any rate. Oh, here we are. Proverbs chapter 17, verse 6. And this is directed at Angela, myself, and probably, yes, Robin. Robin in the hood. Anyway, Proverbs chapter 17, verse 6. Children's children are the crown of old men, and the glory of children are their fathers. Oh boy. Oh boy. I remember being disrespectful to my father. A very regretful thing. Very regretful thing. But there, our Creator says they are our inheritance, like arrows in the hand of a warrior. And do your best. Stay the course. Teach them. Regardless of whether they like it or keep it or don't keep it, that's their choice. When they get to an age of our own consent, they have to make up their minds. But don't let that whether they reject it or accept it, but don't let their rejection of our Creator cause you problems. He's the one that has the final say. Thank you.